Hello everyone, welcome back in the next video. So now in this video, we are going to solve aptitude question which are asked in the GATE examination in the year 2022. So now in this particular video, I had taken all these question from GATE paper XE. So all these question are taken from the GATE paper XE which corresponding to the engineering science, and here this paper is the year of 2022. So now let's start the video with first question. So now in the question 1 we have given the ratio for these three terms x, y and z. So let's write it here. We have ratio x same y same z, and which is equal to 1 by 2 same 1 by 3 same 1 by 4. So now they are asking the value of this term based on this above ratio. So now simply from this ratio we can conclude here x may take any value, but it must be the 1 half multiplied with k, and here k is any constant. So now in the same way I can also say y is nothing but simply 1 by 3 times the same constant which I had taken for this x. In the same way I can say the value of z is nothing but 1 by 4 multiplied with again the same constant. So now we have to find the value of this term. So I can say x plus z minus y divided by y. So now simply let's replace this x, y and z with these values. So I can say 1 half times k plus 1 divided by 4 times k minus 1 by 3 times k, and we have to divide this whole term with y, and which is 1 by 3 times k. So now simply I can cancel out this k here from the numerator and the denominator. So now if I cancel out, so now if we cancel out this k from the numerator and the denominator, so we left with 1 half plus 1 by 4 minus 1 by 3. You have to divide this whole term with 1 by 3 from this term. So now simply I can take these 3 into the multiplication of this numerator. So now let's write it here. So I can say 3 multiplied with 1 by 2 plus. So now let's subtract this last two term. So I can say here I am getting minus 1 by 12. So now if you simplify this term, so what we are getting here, this 1 by 2 minus 1 by 12. So now here I can say 3 multiply with 5 by 12. So I can reduce this fraction with this 4. So I can say 5 by 4, which is exactly same as this term. So I can say 5 by 4 is our answer. But now look at the option. Options are given in this decimal form. So now we can find the ratio here. So we can say we are getting 1.25, and which is nothing but the option B. So I can say option B is the correct answer for this question. So now let's move to the question 2. Okay, now question 2 says both the numerator and the denominator of this 3 by 4 are increased by a positive integer x, and those, that's mean the numerator and the denominator of this fraction, which is 15 by 70, are decreased by the same integer. This operation results in the same value for both the fraction. So now here they are saying if we increase the numerator and the denominator of this fraction, this 3 by 4. So let's write it here. So I can say we are increasing the numerator by the x. In the same way we are increasing the denominator by the same integer x for this first fraction, this 3 by 4. Now if we subtract the same number from this fraction in the same way from this numerator and the denominator, so we are getting the equal to sign between these two fractions, because in this question it is given if this operation results in the same value for both fractions. So now if we subtract same x from this numerator, and if we subtract the same x from the denominator for this 15 by 70 fraction, this second one, so I have to put the equal to sign in between those two terms. So now simply we can easily solve this equation if we multiply this bracket with this term and this one with this one, and if we simplify a little bit, so we end up with the quadratic equation in this x term. So we can easily find the root, and which is nothing but the value of x. But now here the easier approach is that directly go through this option, because now here look at the number. Here we have 17, 15. So after multiplication we are getting some big numbers, because this whole term is multiplied with this and this. So it may consume more time than this option. So now what we have to do, just simply put the values of x here, which are given in this different option. So now let's start with the option A. So now option A has given this constant x has value as +1. So now simply replace this x with +1. So here on the left hand side we are getting 4 by 5, and here on the right hand side what we are getting 14 by 16. So now we have to, now let's find the fraction here. So I can say 4 by 5 is nothing but 0.8, and here this 14 by 16 is nothing but 0.835. So now I can say those two numbers are not equal, so we have to put not equal to sign here. So in the same way I can say, the same way these fractions are not equal. So we can say this condition is not going to hold if this x take the value as 1. So now I can say option A is wrong. So now in the same way we have to do the same thing for the option B. So now option B has given the value of this constant x here as 2. So same thing, let's replace this x with 2. So I can say in the numerator here we are getting 5, and here 6, and now here if you subtract 2 from this 15, so we are getting 13, and here 15. So now again if you find the ratio for those two terms, so again you can easily see those two ratios are not exactly identical. So we can say again this condition is not satisfied by these two. So we can cancel out this option B also. So now let's move to the option C. And now here option C has this value for this x as 3. So now let's replace this x with 3. So now in the left hand side we are getting 6 by 7. And now here let's subtract x3 from this 15. So I can say we are getting 12. And you have to divide. Let's subtract the 3 from this 17. So we are getting 14. So now we can easily see here this fraction is nothing but simply 6 by 7, because we can easily say that this 12 is 6 times 2 and this 14 is 7 times 2. So we can easily cancel out this 2, and here this 6 by 7 is exactly same as this one. So we can say those two fractions are exactly identical. In the other word, if here this x take the value as 3, then this equation is going to be correct. So we can say option C is satisfying this condition. In the other word, I can say option C is the right answer for this question. So now let's solve question number 3. So now here question 3 says a survey of 450 students about their subject of interest resulted in the following outcome. So now we have taken one survey for these 450 students for their interest of subject. So now here we are end up with these outcomes. So now here the first outcome says 150 students are interested in the mathematics, 200 students are interested in the physics, 175 students are interested in the chemistry, 50 students are interested in the mathematics and physics, 60 students are interested in the physics and chemistry, 40 students are interested in the mathematics and chemistry, and 30 students are interested in the mathematics, physics, chemistry, and the last outcome says the remaining students are interested in the humanities. So now they are asking, based on the above information, the number of students interested in the humanity is, okay, so we have to find the number of students for this subject humanity. So now here the last outcome is the remaining students are interested in the humanity. So now simply we have to find the total number of students which are interested in the either the physics, chemistry and mathematics or their combination, and we have to subtract those number from this 450 because there are total number of 450 students. So now here we have to use the Venn diagram. So first of all we need to draw the Venn diagram to find the solution easily. So now simply let's make one square here to represent our sample. So now let's draw three circles for these three subjects: mathematics, physics and chemistry. So now here this first circle, so now this yellow circle is nothing but our mathematics subject, so I can say capital M. Now here the second subject is physics, so I can draw the second circle in this way to represent the second subject which is physics, so I can put capital P there. And now the third circle represent the chemistry, so I have to draw the third circle in this way to represent the subject chemistry. Simply I can say capital C. So now here we have given the data. So now to draw the correct Venn diagram we have to start from the bottom of this conclusion. Now here look at this second last conclusion. This conclusion says 30 students are interested in the mathematics, physics and chemistry. That means we have given the number of students which are interested in this all these three subjects simultaneously. So now these 30 students are nothing but representing this term, the place where these three circles are intersecting. So I can say here we have given the 30 students. So I can write here 30 because here the 30 students are interested in the all three subjects. So now let's move to this statement. So now here this statement says the 40 students are interested in the mathematics and chemistry. So now here the mathematics and chemistry represent this part, this one and this one. But now here we have already put at the 30 students there and we have given the 40 students are there which are interested in the mathematics and chemistry. So I have to subtract 30 from this 40 to find the students which are only interested in the mathematics and chemistry. So now here I can say 40 minus 30, so I have to put the 10 here. So now in the same way let's move to these statements. So now you can see we are going up from this bottom to draw our Venn diagram. Now here this statement says 60 students are interested in the physics and chemistry here. So this area, this is represents the number of students which are interested in the physics and chemistry. So now here we have already taken the 30 students and here total are 60 students. So I can say I have to put 30 again to make it 60, or in the other word we have to subtract 30 from this 60. So now let's move to this next outcome. So now here this outcome says 50 students are interested in the mathematics and physics. That's mean this area, this one and this one. So now we have given the 50 students. So we have already taken 13. So I can say 20 students are there which are interested in the only mathematics and physics. So now we have to find the number of students which are only interested in this particularly and only in the one subject, either in the mathematics or physics or chemistry. So now let's look at this statement. 175 students are interested in the chemistry. So now here this chemistry circle totally include 175 students. So now here we have already put at the 70 students. So we have to subtract 70 from this 175. So I can say 105 students are there which are only interested in this chemistry subject. In the same way, 200 students are interested in the physics. So here we have already taken the 80 students from this P circle. So I can say we have to subtract 80 from this 200, which equal to 220 students are there which are only interested in this physics subject. In this same way, from this first statement I can say 150 students are interested in the mathematics. Now simply we have to again subtract the addition of those three numbers from this 150. So now again this addition of those three numbers will be 60, and you have to subtract from this 150. So I can say 90 students are there which are only interested in this mathematics subject. So now we have to find the total number of students which are contained in these three subjects. So simply we have to find the sum of all the number which are present in the circle. So now I can say 90 students are there which are interested in the mathematics, 120 students are there which are interested in the physics, 105 students are there which are interested in the chemistry, 30 students are there which are interested in the physics and chemistry, this one, 10 students are there which are interested in the mathematics and chemistry, and again 20 students are there which are interested in this mathematics and physics, and again this plus 30, which is nothing but the students which are interested in the whole three subject. So now if we add all this number, so what we are getting, let's see, 90 plus 120 plus 105 plus 30 plus 10 plus 20 plus 30. So now we end up with 405. So now we can say 405 students are there which are interested in either the physics or chemistry or mathematics or their combination. So now we had taken the survey on this number of people. Sorry, student here 450 students are there total. So now from this total 405 students are only which they are interested in these three subjects, and now in the last outcome says the number of humanity students are nothing but the remaining students. So now here if this circle represents the humanity students, so we have to subtract this 405 from this 450. So I can say 45 students are there which are only interested in the humanity. So now from the option I can say option D is the correct one. Okay, now let's solve this fourth question. Okay, so now let's solve this fourth question. So now question 4 says, for the picture shown above, which one of the following is the correct picture representing the reflection with respect to the mirror shown in the dotted line? So here this dotted line is nothing but representing our mirror. So now let's draw this figure here. So I can say here this dotted line is nothing but mirror. So I can say this is representing our mirror. And now here on the left hand side we have this figure. So now first of all let's focus on this small hexagon. So now let's draw it here. So now here my drawing is not perfect, but I hope you got the idea. So now here the two triangles are shaded on this left hand side. So let's also shade those two triangles. So I can say this one and this one. Those two triangles are shaded on this left hand side. So now here we have to find the reflection of this image. So now simply you can see, so this side is parallel to this mirror, so in the same way it will reflected at the same distance in this mirror. So I can say here this first side will look like this, and this same way. So now again let's connect all this point. So now here this shaded portion will reflected in this way. So it is nothing but our shaded portion. So now this will be reflected there, and here this will be reflected here. So now in the same way we can also do for this larger polygon. Now here we can see if this is the shaded portion here on the left hand side, then on the right hand side, this portion will be reflected in this way. So here I am drawing only this shaded portion here in this way, and those two shaded portion are further away from the mirror. So in the same way in the reflection, they are also further away here, somewhere here. So you can draw like this. So now look at the option. You can easily see option A is the correct reflection of this image because here this small hexagon is exactly identical as this one as I have drawn, and the larger one as in this way. So I can say option A is the correct reflection of this left hand side figure with respect to this mirror here in the dotted line. Okay, now let's solve question 5. Here in the question 5, we have given one passage and we have to draw the correct conclusion from this passage. So now first of all, let's read it. So question 5 says, in the last few years, several new shopping malls were opened in the city. The total number of visitors in the malls is impressive. However, the total revenue generated through the sale in this shop in this mall is generally low. Which one of the following is the correct logical inference based on the information given in the above passage? So now again read the passage carefully. In the last few years, several new shopping malls were opened in the city. The total number of visitors in the mall is impressive. So now here the condition about the visitor is given. The total number of visitors in the mall is impressive. That's mean the total number of visitors are huge in these new shopping malls. But however, the total revenue generated through sales in this shop in this mall is generally low. But now the revenue generated by these all these malls is generally low. So now we can easily see there are more number of people which are visiting all those malls, but they are not spending enough money by purchasing the stuff which are present on these malls. So the revenue generated through this mall is generally low. So we can say there are more number of visitors, but they are not spending enough. So now let's go through this four options. So option A says fewer people are visiting mall but spending more. So here they are saying the fewer people are visiting more. Now here it is not the correct one because here in this statement the condition is given that the total number of visitor is impressive. That's mean the visitors are larger. So now let's move to the option B. Option B says the more people are visiting the mall but not spending enough. So yes, it is the case. Then and then the revenue generated through these malls is low if the people which are visiting the malls if they are not spending the money enough. So the revenue generated through these malls is generally low. So we can say option B is the correct. Now also let's look at the option C and D. More people are visiting. Yes, so this first one is correct, but in the second one they are in the spending more. If this is the case, then the revenue is also going goes to up. So I can say this option C is also not correct one. So option D says the fewer people are visiting mall but not spending enough. Again, they are saying the number of visitors is less. So I can again cancel out it. So now only the option B is the correct statement which can be inferred logically from this above passage. Okay, now let's solve question 6. In question 6 says in a partnership business, the monthly investment by three friends for the first 6 months is in the ratio 3 jam 4 jam 5. So now here three friends are joined and started one partnership business, and three friends has its individual investment for this 6 month is given by this ratio 3 jam 4 jam 5. After 6 months, they had to increase their monthly investment by the 10%, 50%, and 20% respectively of their initial investment. So now here this percentage are given of the initial investment for the individual friends of their individual monthly investment. The new investment ratio was kept constant for the next 6 months. So now this second ratio will be kept constant for the next 6 months of the year. So now we have completed the year 6 month this ratio, and the next 6 months the next ratio make with this addition. So now they're asking the what is the ratio of their share if the total profit in the total profit in the same order. That means they're asking the ratio of share of the first friend. Let's denote share with S, and the share of second friend to the share of third friend. But now here in the question it is given the share for the individual friend is directly related to its total investment during the year. Now read this last line. At the end of the year, such that their share is proportional to their individual total investment over year. So now simply I can say here the share of individual friend is nothing but the total amount of money individual friend that has invested in the in this particular business. So now here, so let's denote this three friend, this f1. So I can say f1 is the investment for from the first friend, and the f2 is the investment from the second friend, and f3 is the investment from the third friend. So now here the first investment is given in this ratio 3 gem 4 gem 5. So now this ratio is constant for 6 months. So I can say this ratio is constant for the 6 month. So now here I can easily say the amount that first friend has to invest in this business is nothing but this 3 multiply with any general constant k. Here I can say k is any constant. So now in the same way I can say the total money invested by this second friend in the first in the 1 month. I can say 4 times k. Again here this k is the constant, the same constant here in this above equation. In the same way I can say the investment from this third friend it is nothing but 5 times k. So now here this 3k is the investment for the first month. Now again in the second month this first friend again have to invest again 3k amount of money in the same way. So now if I want to find the total money invested by this first friend after 6 months, so simply I have to multiply this 3k with 6. So now let's move to this second ratio, and now here we have to change the ratio in this particular way, because these all three friends had to increase their monthly investment by this percentage 10%, 50%, and 20% of his individual investment. So I can say here the new ratio for the next coming 6 month. So I can say let's denote its f1 days. So I can say here this 3k amount is there, which is the initial amount for this first friend, and it has to increase by the 10%. So I have to multiply this fraction with this number with 1.10, and then it will give me this increased amount included in this initial amount. So now in the same way I can say the investment from this second friend is nothing but 4k multiplied with 1.50, because this second friend had to increase his investment by 50%. In the same way I can say the investment from the third friend, which is nothing but f3 dash, which is 5k times 1.20. So now here this ratio is going to constant for the next upcoming 6 months. So now we have completed one full year. So this ratio is for the next 6 months. So now if I am interested the total amount which is invested by the first friend, so simply I can say T1, which is nothing but just simply we have to multiply this 3k with 6, because this ratio is taken in this way. So this 3k amount is for the first month, and again we have to add 3k in the second month, again we have to add 3k for the third month in the same way. So I can say 6 multiplied with 3k. In the same way I can also say this term with is also going to multiply with 6, because it is again corresponding to the 6 month. So I can say 6 multiply with this 3k, again multiply with 1.10. So now I can say I can take common this 6 multiply with 3k. So let's take it outside. So I can say this 6 multiply with this 3k, and now here in the bracket I end up with 2.10. So now here the total investment from this first friend we have got in this term. So in the same way I can also say the total investment from this second friend, which is I have represented as T2, which is nothing but the total investment during the year which is coming from this second friend. In the same way I can say 6 multiply with 4k multiply with 2.15. In the same way I can say the total amount of money which is invested by this third friend, let's represent is T3, which is again 6 multiply with 5k, again multiply with 2.20. So now here we have to find the ratio of this individual share for these three friends, and now here this share ratio of this share is nothing but the ratio of total investment during the year. So I can say T2 jam T1 jam T2 jam T3. So now let's say simply take the ratio of these first two investment T1 jam T2, and which is nothing but simply S1 jam S2. So now simply we have to take the ratio of these two terms. So I can say here 6 multiply with 3k, which is multiply with 2.10, and we have to divide this term with this second term. So we have to divide this term with this total amount which is spent by this second friend. So I can write here 6 multiply with 4k multiply with 2.50. So now we can easily cancel out this term and this k also. So now simply we can easily find the ratio, which is 3 multiply with 2.10, and we have to divide this numerator with 4 multiply with 2.50. So now if we find the ratio for this term, so we are getting 0.7325. So now here this is nothing but the ratio of the share of the first friend to the second friend. But now here look at the option. Option are given in this integer number. But now here it is difficult to convert this ratio into the integer directly. So what we have to do is just simply we have to go through this four option, and we have to divide this first number with this second number. So we can easily find the ratio of this share of this first friend to the second friend. So now let's do it for the option A. So 22 divided by 23. So I can say the ratio here is 0.95. Now for the option B, 22 divided by 33. So it will give me the ratio 0.66. In the third option, 33 divided by 46. So it will give me the ratio of 0.71. So now for the last option, 63 divided by 86. So it will give me the ratio of 0.73255. So you can see only the option D is there, which is giving this number for this ratio of this S1 to S2. Here the order is the same for the share also, as which is in this investment order. So now we can also cancel out this all option because it is not giving the proper ratio for this first friend and the second friend investment. You can also find this ratio of this S2 gem S3 here directly, which is nothing but the T2 by T3. So you can easily get here this ratio of T2 by T3. The same way I have to take the ratio of those two numbers. So again I can cancel this 6 with 6 and this k with k. So now again let's find the ratio here. So in the numerator we have 4 multiply with 2.50, and in the denominator 5 multiply with 2.20. So now if you find the ratio here, so you will get 0.78 like this. So now again let's divide this 86 by 110. So I can say again it will give the same number 781818. So you can see option D is the correct ratio for the individual share for these three friends. So you can easily find the answer. Let's again quickly look at the process. So first of all, we had given the ratio for the first 6 months. So we have assume any general constant and make the amount this way for these three different friends. Now for the next 6 months, the ratio had to have to change because they had to increase this investment by this proportion 10%, 50% and 20% respectively for these three friends. So now the new investment for the three friends are in this way, and here the we have to find the ratio of individual share of these three friends. So simply, and here the share is nothing but directly proportional to the total investment for any particular friends. So you can say the total investment by this first friend during this whole year, it is nothing but the amount of money come from this first 6 month and the amount of money come from this second 6 month. You simply I had added here those two number multiply with 6 because here this ratio is going to be constant for the 6 month, and again this ratio is also going to be constant for the next 6 month. So now here this amount is all amount which this first friend is going to invest during the whole year on in this partnership business. In the same way, the amount which is spent by the second friend and the amount which is spent by this third friend during the whole year we can easily find, and the ratio of this amount t1 then t2 then t3 it will give this number. So we can also check from this option. So option D is the correct ratio for the share of these three friends. So now let's solve question 7. Question 7 says consider the following equation of a straight line. So okay, we have four lines and which are straight lines. So now here they have denoted this different line with this L1, L2, L3 and L4. So they are asking which one of the following is the correct statement. So now in the option we have given the statement in some this in L1 is parallel to L2 and L1 is perpendicular to L3. So now here let's draw here two line in this xy plane in any general way. So here this is our x-axis, this represent our y-axis. So now if I draw my first line in this way here, so it will represent my first line, and if I draw the second line in this way which is exactly parallel to this L1, I can say L2. So now if those two lines are parallel, then the slope of this line L1, so let's call it M1. Here M1 is nothing but the slope of this first line, and the slope of this second line, let's call it M2. If the slope of those two lines is exactly identical, in the other word mathematically I can say M1 nothing but exactly same as M2. If this condition is going to hold, then and then I can say those two lines are parallel. If the slope is not constant, then at some particular point in this xy plane those two lines are intersecting, but now here the slope is same, so these two lines are exactly running to parallel up to the infinite distance, because this distance here this distance between those two lines is constant because the slope is same. So two lines are parallel, then the distance between those two lines is constant regardless of this x and y coordinates. I can say that up to infinite line, up to infinite distance, those two lines are never intersect each other. And now for the perpendicular line, let's draw the third line which is exactly perpendicular to this L1. So I can say this way. So here angle between this L1 and let's call it L3, here this angle is 90 degree. So now from the basic concept of the mathematics I can say the multiplication of slope of first line to the second line, if the multiplication is -1, then I can say the two lines are nothing but perpendicular to each other. So here this is the necessary condition for the perpendicularness of any two lines. So now here we have given the equation of the line. We have four equations. So now we have to find the slope of all the line here. So now here we can easily find the slope, and here the slope is nothing but simply dy by dx. You can say dy by dx is nothing but the slope, and here this dy by dx is nothing but the differentiation of this y with respect to x. So now simply let's find the slope for this first line. So I can say I have to differentiate this equation of this first line with respect to x. So I can say here del L1 by del x. So now here this differentiation of this 2x will be 2 because we are taking the differentiation with respect to x, and here this 3, and here this y will be dy by dx. Here let's put it 1 here to distinguish from the other slope. Here this 1 is corresponding to the first line, and on the right hand side we have to put 0 because here we have constant number 5, so the differentiation of the constant will be 0. So now let's replace this dy by dx with m1, and here this m1 is nothing but the slope of first line. So I can say the slope of first line is nothing but 2 by 3. So now in the same way I can say del L2 by del x, which is nothing but the slope of the second line, here this line, simply 3 plus 2m2, here m2 is nothing but dy by dx for this second line. So I had directly replaced it with this term with m2, and again the right hand side will be 0 because again there is a constant. So I can say the slope of the second line, which is m2, is negative 3 by 2. So now in the same way, the slope for this third line, so I can say del L3 by del x. So now simply 4 minus 6 m3 equal to 0. So I can say m3 is nothing but 2 by 3. And in the same way, for the last line L4, so I can say del L4 by del x. So simply I can say 6 minus 9m4 equal to 0. So I can say the slope of this fourth line is nothing but simply 2 by 3. So now we have find out the slope for this all this line. So now look at the value of the slope for this all lines. So now here you can see this slope and this slope is exactly identical. So I can say this first slope is exactly identical to this one and to this one. So I can say this m1 is nothing but the slope of the first line. So I can say L1 is parallel to L3 because it has the same slope 2 by 3, 2 by 3. Here also 2 by 3. So I can also say which is also parallel to the L4. So now let's find the multi perpendicularness of different lines. So now here if you multiply this m1 with m2, m1 with multiplying with m2, so you can easily see here we have 2 by 3, here we have negative 3 by 2. So the multiplication of those two numbers will give me the negative one, and which is the necessary requirement for the perpendicularness of this of any two lines. So I can say this L1 is perpendicular to L2. So I can write here L1 is perpendicular to L2. So now if L1 is perpendicular to L2, then all the line which are parallel to the L1 is also going to be perpendicular to this L3. So I can say L3 is also perpendicular to L2. In the same way, L4 is also perpendicular to the L2. You can also check this condition by multiplying this slope of this third line with the second line. So I can say m2 multiplied with m3, which is again give me the negative one. In the same way, m2 multiplied with m4, which is again give me the negative one. So I can say those lines are also perpendicular to each other. So now let's look at the option. Option A says L1 is parallel to the L2. No, this L1 and L2 are perpendicular from this conclusion. So we can cancel out this option A. So now let's move to the option B. Option B said L2 is parallel to the L4. So again you can see L4 and L2 are perpendicular to each other. So we can also cancel out this option B also. Now let's look at the option C. Option C said L3 is perpendicular to the L4. So you can see L3 and L4 are parallel to each other. So we can also cancel out the option C also. So now the last option is D, and this is of course correct one. So now option D says L4 is perpendicular to L2. So you can see here L4 and L2 are perpendicular, and L4 is parallel to the L3. Yes, it is also correct. L4 and L3 is perpendicular. So now I can say the option D is the correct conclusion about these 4 lines. So now let's plot all this line on the calculator and how it will look like. Let's see it also. So now look at this graph. So here this line represents the first line L1, this line represents the second line, and this green one represents the third line, and this represents the fourth line. So you can see on this graph this L4, L3 and L2 are parallel. So now here, sorry, in this naming of the line I make mistake. Here this line is nothing but L2 and this one is L1. So now you can see L1, L3 and L4 which are parallel to each other. You can see on the graph, and this L2 is perpendicular to these 3 lines L1, L3 and L4. Here they are perpendicular. So you can easily see the concept. So now let's move to the next question. Okay, now let's solve question 8. Question 8 says, given below are 2 statements and 4 conclusions. Draw based on the statement. So now here, those 2 conclusions are drawn based on these 2 statements. And they're asking which one of the following option is logically inferred. So now we have to find which one conclusion is correct and which one is wrong. So now first of all focus on these 2 statements. So statement 1 says some soap are clean. So now here we have 2 things. First thing is that we have soap, and the second thing we have clean. So I have to draw 2 circles. Again I have to draw the Venn diagram to solve this concept. So now here this thing is nothing but represent soap, and now here in the statement 1 says some soap are clean. So now I have to draw the second circle which is represent the cleanliness. In the other word, the clean things. So here this yellow circle is nothing but the clean things. So now I can draw these 2 circles from this one statement. Now let's move to the second statement. Statement 2 says all clean objects are wet. So now here this yellow circle represents all the objects which are clean. Now but the statement 2 says all clean objects are wet. So now if I wanted to draw the third circle which represents the wet things, so I must have to draw the third circle in such way that this yellow circle will completely included in that circle, because then and then this second statement is going to correct. All clean objects are wet. So now let's draw the third circle which represent the wet object. In this way I am drawing the rough diagram here. Simply I can say this bigger circle represent the wet things. So now here this wet circle can be drawn in this different way also. So let's also I can also draw in this way. So here sorry. So here I can also draw in this way. So now here this is nothing but the soap, and this is nothing but the clean. So I can simply write C and S. Now here I can also draw this circle which represent the wet things in this way also, to include those 2 circles completely in this bigger circle. So I can say this bigger circle represent the wet things. So either this diagram is going to happen or this one. So now let's move to the conclusion. So conclusion 1 says some clean objects are soap. So you can easily see here this clean object represented by the yellow circle. So this yellow circle and this red circle which is representing the soap are intersecting at this in this region. So I can say this number of soap which are included in this area are clean. So I can say yes, conclusion 1 is the right. Conclusion 2 says no clean object is soap. But now here you can see this which is this conclusion 2 is exactly opposite to the conclusion 1. So I can say if the conclusion 1 is true, then conclusion 2 is wrong. You can also see this conclusion from this Venn diagram, because the clean object must include some soap which are fall in this area. So now let's move to the third conclusion. Conclusion third says some wet object are soap. So now here you can also see this circle, bigger circle represent the wet object, and here this in this bigger circle, this yellow circle must be included. So now I can say at least some soap are there which are wet. We cannot say either all soap are wet or partially, but now here some soap are there which are exactly wet. So I can say conclusion 3 is also correct. So now let's move to the last conclusion. Conclusion 4. Conclusion 4 says all wet objects are soap. So now here this conclusion is not going to happen always. So now if this is the case, this second one, then this conclusion is true. All wet objects are soap. You can see all this wet object. So now here, sorry, not this case. If this is the true, this if the fourth conclusion is true, then this bigger circle which represent the wet things must be included in this red circle. Then and then is going to true because this conclusion says all wet objects are soap. So all wet object must fall into this red circle. But now here this is not case. So I can say conclusion 4 is also wrong. So now look at the option. So you can see option D is the only one because option D says the only conclusion 1 and conclusion 3 are correct. So you can say option D is the correct. So now let's move to the last question for this video. Okay, now let's solve this last question. So question 9 says an ant walk in a straight line on a plane, leaving behind a trace of its movement. The initial position of ant is at point P facing east. So now here we have also given the direction. So here let's draw the direction first. So here this direction is nothing but the east. This is north. So this will be south and this will be west. So now here let's draw the point initial point P. So I can say our ant is here at initial time and the ant is facing toward the east. Here you can see the initial position of ant is at point P and facing east. So I can say here our ant is standing here and facing toward the east direction in this way. So now let's read the question further. The ant first turned 72-degree anti-clockwise at P. So now here we have to this ant have to take the turn of this 72-degree into the anti-clockwise direction. So I can say the ant has to take the turn in this direction, which is nothing but the 72-degree turn. So now after that turn, our ant will standing in this way. So now it had it. So it is facing in this direction, northeast. So now anti-clockwise at P, then does the following two step in the sequence exactly 5 times. If this is going to happen, and now after that they are saying this ant have to does this two operation exactly 5 times. So operation 1 says the ant have to move the forward distance 10 centimeter. Now here this point the ant have to move the 10 centimeter in the forward direction. So here the forward direction for the ant here at the position P after taking the 72-degree turn in the anti-clockwise direction will be in this direction. So I can say this is our initial point P and let's represent this point Q. So now here this is our last termination point after this first operation. Now the operation 2 says again the ant has to take the turn of 144-degree clockwise. So now again I can draw my coordinate axis at this point. Here again my ant is facing in this direction. So now again it has to take the turn of 144 into the clockwise direction. It's mean in that direction. So now here we know this angle is already 72-degree. So again it has to take the 72-degree in that direction also to make it 144. So now our ant will be standing in this direction or facing in this direction. So now again it has to do this first operation again because it is doing this operation exactly 5 times. So I can say it has to again move the 10 centimeter forward after taking the 144-degree clockwise turn. So now again this end has to move 10 centimeter distance again. So now here our end will be here, and let's again draw our coordinate axis also here. So end will be facing here in this direction. So I can say this angle is nothing but 90 minus 72, because this angle is 72 from this figure I can say. So I can say this angle is nothing but simply 18. So now again it has to do this thing. So now it has to take the turn of 144 in that direction, in the clockwise direction. So I can say, so if you make the angle between this arrow as 144, so our end will be turned in this direction, in this way. Its head is facing in this way, and this angle is nothing but 36 degree, this angle, and this is also 90 degree. So if you add 36 plus 90 plus 80, so you end up with 144, which is exactly this angle. So now again this end has to move this distance. So now we are doing this thing with third times. So I can say after these things our end will be at this position. Now I can again draw my coordinate axis here at this point. So our end is facing in this direction. Here this angle is nothing but 36 degree. From this angle I can say, because the end is moving the straight distance of this 10 centimeter. So again this end has to take the turn of 144. So you can easily see this angle is nothing but 180 minus 36. If you subtract this 36 from the 180, which is exactly identical as 144, so now after this turn our end will facing exactly the east direction in this way. So now our end will facing in this east direction. So now again it has to do this thing, because we are doing this thing as 4 times. So now again this end has to move the 10 centimeter forward. So now my end here will be reach here. So again if you draw the coordinate axis at this point also, so again this end has to take the turn of 144. So now our end is facing in this east direction. So if you again make the turn of 144, so it will again and turn into this direction, and again it has to move the 10 degree centimeter. So it will reach this point P again. So now here look at this figure which is made by the end movement. You can easily see from the option C is the correct figure, which is nothing but the movement of our end with respect to this two step. So option C is the correct trace for the end movement. And thanks for watching this video, and thanks for your time and your kind attention. See you later on the next video. Till then, take care of yourself and bye bye.